Hello everybody, it's me John, and this is obviously isn't a vlog, it's a discussion video, and this week there isn't going to be a normal weekly vlog, just to kind of let you know. As you know, as of the last weekly vlog, I've been kind of coming down with something, like a chesty cough and everything, and to be honest, I just haven't, and like my nose and all sorts of stuff, kind of, yeah, not feeling too good basically, and I just haven't really been in the frame of mind to really make segments throughout the week. I'll be back to it hopefully next week. I just wanted to kind of, rest up. However, as you can see, you are getting a video this week. But it is obviously, as you can see, a discussion. Now, this discussion video is something that has kind of been in the pipeline, that I wanted to talk about, and it's in regards to the issue going on in Japan at the moment over tourism. And as somebody that has wanted to visit Japan for the longest time, it is kind of putting a bit of a dampener on proceedings. It's one of those things, is other people are messing it up for others. It's certain people are going to Japan, doing what you shouldn't do, and then obviously causing a bit of a problem. And it is then being imprinted on tourists as being a bad thing, or not necessarily a positive thing, more of a negative thing for idiot people. Now, of course, when I say this, not everybody that's going to visit Japan, most people will be, they will have they'll have some kind of respect for the culture of Japan, for the people. Most people that go to Japan, most tourists will be respectful. But there is like a small number of people, mostly people that are YouTube or Twitch based, basically people that do these streaming vlogs. I don't do streaming vlogs, of course, because I don't have the stuff to really do it, and I've never seen the point of live streaming vlogging. Obviously this is a vlog channel. I don't mind doing vlogs that I've already recorded, edit, and then upload. That, the original kind of type of vlogging experience. I'm more for that side of things, actually filming something, like the whole experience of flying out or for traveling, the traveling side of it, getting to the hotel, that kind of thing, and then experiencing whatever. That's the kind of thing that I do. I record it all, edit it together, and upload later. But then I'm not saying everybody that does streaming vlogs through, either through Twitch or through YouTube or whatever. I'm not saying everybody that does that are the one. I'm not saying all of them are bad, or I'm not saying all of them encourage this sort of behaviour. Of course there isn't. But it seems to me that the issue that's been going on in Japan at the moment over tourism has the main thing that's caused it, from what I can gather from watching people that live in Japan, loving it, seeing it from their perspective, from people that live there. Because I follow a few people. I follow the Trash Taste guys. And I also follow Chris Broad in Japan, and I follow a few other people that obviously live in Japan. And I've been seeing videos that they've been uploading and also talking about this actual subject I'm talking about today. And it seems the Japanese government and people that oversee certain areas and the police and everything are actually starting to they're starting to bring out these ideas of non-tourist areas. They are actually banning people from certain areas in Japan because of reports of certain individuals causing problems, as in either causing massive problems with way too much foot traffic so that people can't move around, businesses are being affected. Also, there's been vandalism to some of the temples. Apparently, there's been like people like carving graffiti into the wood on these temples. There's been geishas have been approached in the wrong fashion, forced to take a photo, being touched, being this, that, and the other, without any sort of respect for them as a person. You can't just go up to someone randomly in the street, wherever you go, and start touching them inappropriately and try and pestering them for a picture. You have to ask first, at least. Be respectful. But yeah, there's been all these reports of geishas being approached by tourists, being basically forced to take a picture with them, having their kimono, or whatever you want to call it, their outfits kind of touched and pulled, their hair pulled, and all sorts of awful stuff like that. And there's also been, like I said, graffiti, like people carving the names, carving stuff into the wood on the traditional old temples. There's also been issues where certain companies that do coach trips, that work through the tourism side of things, they've also contributed to a lot of problems where they're dropping people off at certain points just for a photo, and that's also been causing a massive issue with congestion through foot traffic and all this, that, and the other. So that's also been seen as a bad thing by the Japanese people. Obviously, it's a different country, different culture, different way of being brought up. They have different ideals and different values and different things that they go by and live by. And when you get a mixture of cultures, when you get people from other countries going to their country, going to Japan or wherever, you're going to get people that don't fully understand the culture that they're just about to experience. And the Japanese people are a bit different compared to us in the West, of course, when it comes to their values, their core values, how they go about life. They don't like confrontation. The Japanese people do not like confrontation. I'm not saying all of them don't, but I'm just saying for the most part, they don't like confrontation. They are very much to themselves. And if anything was happening, if somebody was being too loud, if anything was playing music on public transportation, something like that, then obviously that's going to, most of the time, you might get the odd person who might say, will you stop, or try to say stop to that person, but for the most part, they would pretty much just ignore it, because that's how they are. But it seems like either they're starting to kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to get to the point of this as best as I can. It's annoying me, because on one side of this, what's going on is the Japanese economy, from what I can gather, relies on tourism. Apparently, tourism to Japan contributes to a lot of stuff, and it contributes to the Japanese economy, basically. Obviously, for any country, tourism contributes to their economy. It helps local businesses. You know, if you say like, if you get a small like a real small little village, like a small village, population say of about 200 people, 250, 300, around about that mark. That's relatively quite small compared to anywhere else. It's just a small community. If you started to get, if you say like a bunch of tourists went to that part of the world and went there, say about, I don't know, say there's about 400 or 500 people, that's more than the population of that town. It's going to get a bit, obviously that they're not going to be used to that amount of people to a degree, because the population there is as low as say 200 or 300 people. And then you get, let's say, 500 people, then it's going to cause a little bit of a problem, but it's also going to cause a boost for their local businesses. It's going to cause a boost to their restaurants, to their pubs, to their cafes, to them if they've got a market, or if they've got, you know, any sort of businesses that are there, they're going to see an increase in profit because there's more people coming through the door rather than just locals. So there's a plus side to it, and there's also a negative side to it. Over tourism is a problem, even in the UK, because there's also been cases of certain areas in the UK that has also reported way too many tourists in an area that is relatively quite small, and just can't situate the amount of people. It's just as it is. So the whole over tourism thing is not just an issue that Japan has. It's also a world problem as well, for most countries and places. But coming back to Japan as to why this is the main focus is because it is a country that I've always wanted to go to, and I feel obviously, if I was to go to Japan, I'm not going to be this arsehole who is forcibly putting my camera in people's faces, causing a disruption. I'm certainly not going to walk up to a random geisha and demand a picture with her and start pulling at her hair and this, that, and the other. I'm not going to do that. I'm certainly not going to be a person going to Japan that carves my name or carves some whatever graffiti into the temple walls, into the wood of the temples. I'm not going to be somebody that is going to cause any disruption or disrespect to their culture. I certainly would not be that person. But it's like, this is the thing, is these people that are doing that are causing a massive negativity for people, that for anybody that wishes to go to that country under complete respect for their culture. So tourists going to Japan, it seems to me that even though they are, it's the focus point is mostly on the people that are causing the problem, that certain demographic of people going to that country that have been completely disrespectful. But yet, it's like typical kind of thing of everyone being tied to the same brush. Everyone's being labelled. Anyone that's a tourist to that country are all technically being perceived as problematic because of these idiots. I mean, it's a country I've always wanted to check out. I've always wanted to experience. Obviously, I'm a fan of anime. I love my anime. But I also love rich history. I love ancient history. I love anything to do with history. And Japan has an incredible depth of history. Well over 1,000 years of history that is either documented or is mentioned in scripture, at least. So there's a lot of history in Japan, and obviously there's traditional There's traditional temples, the traditional certain parts of Japan that still kind of has the old Edo period vibe, where you can visit the old wooden houses and this, that, and the other. I mean, I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church or anything like that. I'm not a religious person. However, I do have a big respect for the Buddhist temples, and I am a big fan of architecture as well. I like the look of churches, or any sort of like medieval or old way, or like very old architecture. And I'm a big fan of anything. I mean, like I say, I'm not religious at all, but when in Japan it is mostly Buddhist temples. The old temples are Buddhist and everything, but what I like about it is the spiritualness. It's spirituality. They leave. Anyone is welcome to visit the temple as long as they're respectful and take in what's going on. Maybe get a fortune, or maybe have a prayer if they wish to. But for me, I'm more interested in checking out the building. I'm more interested in checking out the architecture of the building, because I think it's amazing, because these buildings, these temples are built without nails. There is no nails in the framework. It's all very specially done, hand carved, like a puzzle, and it's like a lock in kind of way. They cut the timber blocks, they cut it all into a certain way, so it all meshes perfectly, and you get a really strong bond. So that kind of thing really, really, really interests me, of how buildings were built back in a time where metal was relatively scarce, or it was used mostly for warfare, for weapons and such. But I found that stuff fascinating. Other people may vary, but I found that stuff fascinating, and I'm very fascinated of like experiencing a different culture than my own. But it's the reason why this is a video I've been wanting to make and kind of been putting off for a bit, is because I've been kind of hoping that this stuff would calm down over time, but it seems to be getting worse. And there's more stories, there's more stuff being reported, there's more stuff being mentioned, literally on a daily basis, if not weekly basis, at the moment. And it's getting concerning for any future tourist that wishes to visit Japan, where certain areas are now labelled as designated non-tourist areas. So no tourists whatsoever are allowed to go to a certain area or to a certain point. They're putting up signs in Japan now that says no admittance, no foreigner, no foreigner, no foreigner or no tourists, basically. Obviously, I'm definitely going to be going to Japan, irrespective. It's not going to be for another couple of years yet, because obviously I'm going away this year to Spain again, Bella Medina in Spain. So once that's out the way, we're going to start the saving process for Japan, but it's not going to be for another couple of years, because it's going to take quite a bit of saving to get the right amount for Japan, because it's not cheap. It's mostly flights and accommodation that's going to cost the most. I remember there was a whole case. I've forgotten the guy's name, to be honest, but there was a guy who was in Japan. I don't know for how long, but he was in Japan for a bit, and he started vlogging certain things that he was getting up to while in Japan. And he was literally going into no areas which were like maybe like a construction site, just kind of going into a construction site and doing all this stupid stuff and maybe damaging any sort of building materials. And then you start getting the workmen approach them and telling them to leave, and they're getting in their faces and being disrespectful. So there was a guy that was doing stuff like that and then going on public transport. Actually, there was two people that were doing something very similar that were streamers. They were basically streaming this stuff and recording it and uploading it to either YouTube or to Twitch or to any sort of different sites. So there was at least two people that got prosecuted and got arrested for it and were banned. I think they ended up getting a ban so they can't go to Japan ever again, which is good. But yeah, there was a couple of people that were doing similar kind of video material where they were deliberately doing certain stuff that was causing a massive issue, which then those couple of people that were doing this stuff was the catalyst to what's going on at the moment and what I'm talking about now, where they're starting to find out through looking into it. It's not just those two individuals that were doing stuff that was wrong. Obviously, this stuff's been going on for a long time, but it's only within the last couple months. I'd say the last 2 or 3 months is that it's starting to really make waves, and people that actually live in Japan that I follow are starting to talk about it, and it is becoming a massive change. It's causing problems for people that make content that are not disrespectful. You can't just whip a camera out. You've got to have consent from you have to have some kind of consent or a permit to have a camera on you. And also because of the whole catalyst of the issue that's been going on at the moment, it's causing issues for people going into certain businesses, certain districts, certain areas in certain parts of Japan are actively saying no completely to anyone that's not Japanese or that is a gaijin. You are not allowed to go anywhere in this area. So yeah, it's causing massive problems at the moment. The changes and things that's going on at the moment. As a result, I am not massively surprised to a degree, because it's something that they need to conquer. It's basically what you're calling is like basically businesses and people that oversee and protect these landmarks and people that own these businesses. They are going to these extremes because they don't want anyone to cause a problem for their business or whatever because of what's been going on. So they're taking matters into their own hands. But then it's not just that as well, it's the Japanese government are causing some of these changes. But no, it's just, I've got a lot of respect for their culture. I've got a lot of respect for their culture. I've got a lot of respect for the entertainment that they make, like video games and their technologies and anime and manga. I've got a lot of respect for all that. I love that stuff. But also, I love their culture and I like their way of life. I think it's because I watch a lot of stuff about Japan, like the day-to-day life of it and all stuff like that. And I love their history, their rich history as well. And that's what I want to experience when I go. That's what I want to experience when I go. And yeah, but what can you do? What can you do, people? But yeah, I will be going to Japan. I'm still going to, we're looking at maybe 2026, looking at maybe 2026, because it's going to take a good year and a bit for us to afford to do it. But yeah, so 2026, I'm looking at hopefully doing Japan. So hopefully by time then, things might have maybe improved to a degree, and any changes might have been implemented or by then, or the issue that's currently going on might be kind of a distant thing. There we go. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, everybody, and I will see thee hopefully very soon. Bye bye.